Hey guys, today you're going to be reviewing systems of equations, which is what we did a few months ago, and I just thought it would be good to give you a quick refresher on that. So this is the first part of your notes, and just to be really clear, I will be collecting your notes along with the assignment tomorrow in class. So anyway, a system of equations is two or more lines with the same point. For number 2, the solution to a system of equations is where their lines cross or intersect. Intersect is a little more precise. And then lastly, a system of equations can have many solutions, one solution, or it can have no solutions. Okay, so starting off with this line, we have two lines that they've given us. First line is on top, second is on bottom, and we're going to find a solution for this set systems of equations by graphing the lines and seeing if they cross. So let's start with that first one. On the top, I've actually rewritten both lines, so on this side, and I've done that so that you guys can see that on the top we write slope-intercept form y equals mx plus b so that we can more easily see how to graph these lines. So first thing we're going to do is start with what b equals, which is our y-intercept. I just circled that in blue. B is a positive 4. And remember, B is where our line crosses the y-axis, and the y-axis is the one that goes straight up and down. So start off by putting your point at 4. That's the starting point for that first line. And our slope, m, is negative 7/3. I'm going to write that on the side. And remember, if our slope is negative, we go down and then right. If it's positive, we go up and right. So starting at our y-intercept, I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then go right 1, 2, 3, place that second point, and then we have as many points as we can fit on this graph, so that's enough. That's our first line. For the second line, we have y equals negative 2/3 x minus 1, and remember our b is the y-intercept. That's where we always start when we're graphing lines, and b is at negative 1, so we'll start our second line, I'm putting that in red, at negative 1 on the y-axis. Our slope for m is negative 2/3. So what that means, again, because it's negative, we're going to go down first. If it's positive, we go up. So we're going to go down 2 and right 3. So starting at the y-intercept, go down 2 and right 3. Now, we can fit more points on this graph. We already can see where they cross, though, so we can stop there. Just make sure that you draw your line across the whole graph. Notice that these 2 points intersect at 3, negative 3. So our solution, we have one solution because they cross at 1 point, is 3, negative 3. All right, so on your notes, we're going to look at example 4. And what we're going to do to see our solution, or if these lines even cross at a certain point, is to graph these two lines. So on the side, I'm going to go ahead and write that first line, which is y equals negative 4x minus 4. And remember that when we're graphing a line, we use y equals mx plus b to figure out what our y-intercept is, so where do we start our line, and what our slope is. So our b, or y-intercept, is at negative 4, which means we're going to plot our first point at negative 4 on the y-axis, and our slope, or m, is negative 4. And remember, slope is a fraction, so we'd write that as negative 4 over 1. Now, once we have that slope, we need to recall that if it's a negative slope, we go down 4 and right 1. But we actually can't go down 4 and right 1 on our graphs. If we went down 4, we would be off of our graph. So instead, we're going to do the opposite, which is up 4, left 1. So starting on our y-intercept, that point in red, we'll go up 4, left 1, up 4, left 1, and then connect our points to make our first line in that systems of equations. For that second line, which is y equals negative x plus 2, I'm going to go ahead and write that on the side. Remember, if there's nothing in front of the x, that's the same thing as 1. Y equals mx plus b is how it's written. And our y-intercept is at 2, positive 2. So we're going to start our second line at positive 2. And then m is negative 1 over 1. So what that means is that we are going to go down 1 and right 1 because it's a negative slope. So starting at our y-intercept, which is at 2, we're going to go down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. Keep on going with that. And if you go in the opposite direction, which would be up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1, up 1, left 1, and connect our points, you can see that our lines have one solution and that they cross right here, which is at negative 2, 4. So your answer is that there is one solution and it is negative 2, 4. Okay, so for this line, we have a little bit of a peculiar line at first. We just have x equals 3, no slope, no y-intercept. So the way that we graph this line is we find where on our x-axis we have 3, which is right here. And we would draw a line straight through x equals 3. That's our first line. Our second line, we don't get off quite so easy. I'm going to draw a little arrow to show you guys where that is. We've got y equals negative 2/3 x plus 1. Now we do have a slope and y-intercept. So right below that line, I'm going to go ahead and write slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. B, which is our y-intercept, is positive 1. So we're going to start at positive 1. Our m, or slope, is negative 2/3. Which means we're going to go down 2 and right 3. Down 2, right 3. So starting at our y-intercept, we're going to go down 2, right 3. And we can actually stop graphing our points right there because we can already see where our lines intersect. I'm going to put that point in red. They intersect at 3, negative 1. So 3, negative 1 is our solution. And there is one solution, which is where our two lines cross. Okay, so for this second to last example, our first line is going to be y equals 1/2 x plus 2. And at the top of that, always write slope-intercept form. Again, this isn't something you have to do, but I think it can help you if you're having trouble with graphing lines. So for that first line, our y-intercept, or b, is positive 2, so we'll start at 2 on the y-axis. And our slope, m, is 1/2. So what that means is that we are going to go up 1 because it's positive and right 2. Remember, if it's positive, you go up and right, and if it's negative, you go down and right. So starting at our y-intercept, we'll go up 1, right 2. Up 1, right 2, and then opposite direction, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, and connect your points. For our second line, I'm just going to draw a little wonky arrow. We've got y equals positive 2x minus 1. I wrote plus 1, minus 1. And again, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And here our y-intercept is negative. So we're going to start our second line at negative 1. And then our slope is positive 2 over 1. So we'll go up 2 and right 1. So starting at that red point, our y-intercept will go up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1, up 2, right 1. And we'll draw our line straight through all the points across the graph. And our intersection or solution is that black point at 2, 3. So here we have one solution, which is 2, 3.